highs in the upper 40s. Light and variable winds becoming southwest around 5 miles per hour this afternoon. Chance of rain 40. Tonight, cloudy. A chance of rain, mainly in the evening. Lows in the mid-30s. South winds around 5 miles per hour in the evening, becoming light and variable. Chance of rain 50%. Tuesday, mostly cloudy in the morning, then clearing. Highs in the lower 50s. Northwest winds around. Tuesday night, clear. Cold with lows in the lower 30s. West winds around 5 miles per hour. Wednesday, sunny. Highs in the mid-50s. Southwest winds around 5 miles per hour. Mostly.
1/3 of Japan wants the Olympics not to take place. 45, 40, whatever.
Thursday night, clear.
Australia apologizes for the ass about that. As India cricket players racially abused.
Cloudy with a 30% chance of rain. Lows in the mid-30s.
Wrong word there. Ass.
Mostly sunny. Highs in the upper 40s. Saturday night, clear. Cold with lows in the upper 20s.
That's the question whether COVID-19 curfews work. They don't. Well, France may have been lucky, but that doesn't make sense if it's the law.
Because better drivers make better journeys, and better journeys make a better world. Learn more at shove.ca/take.
Home. The pressure was 30.35 inches and falling. In Burlington, it was partly sunny. The temperature was 43 degrees, with 2.31, and the relative humidity 64%. The wind was calm. The pressure was 30.32 inches and falling. Elsewhere across the state of Dallas and Asheville, it was cloudy with a temperature of 34. In Charlotte, it was cloudy with a temperature of 43. In Greensboro, it was cloudy with a temperature of 42. In Roxborough, it was partly sunny with a temperature of 37. In Millington, it was cloudy with a temperature of 38.
This
In
report brought to you by
Bridgeport,
Canadian
it was
Blood
cloudy
Services.
with a temperature of 36.
Northbound
At Fayetteville,
427,
it was
just
cloudy
north
with a
of
temperature
Dallas
of
and the Columbus.
39.
Looks like two left
At the
lanes
Rocky
and the
Mount
right
Wilson
lane.
Airport,
The
it
collision
was
one
cloudy
vehicle
with a
sideways.
temperature of
Front
39.
end damage must have
At
gone into
Wilmington,
the
it was partly sunny with a temperature of 49.
only the center lane
At
open.
Cape
Four
Charlotte,
lanes
it
here
was
and three that
mostly
were
sunny
blocked. Just
with a
one lane
temperature of
squeezing
40.
through, getting heavy as you head
The
through
current time
Dundas
is
in the
10:40
on the
p.m. Eastern
427
Standard
north.
Time.
The problems are on the 400.
Now here is the hazardous weather outlook for central North Carolina.
North of Highway 9,
For
two
today
left
and
lanes
tonight.
blocked.
No hazardous weather is expected at this
The left
time.
lane also closed.
And now the extended outlook for the period Tuesday through Sunday. No hazardous weather is expected at this time.
And it's heavy
Further
if you're traveling
information
northbound,
statement.
approaching
Further
Highway 9 to north of
precipitation
it,
is not
and
expected at
southbound
this time.
400 from south of 5th line.
The air quality forecast for Monday.
Clean up to
Orange
1 This
County
happened
is
at
55 or 40
9:45 last night.
Air quality is a concern for people who are unusually sensitive to air pollution, with the primary pollutant of small particulates.
You'll find the
This is NOAA Weather Radio, all hazards, Station
Highway
WXL.
27 to Kipling, and that's for an ongoing collision investigation. A message from Canadian Blood Services. Join the fight against COVID-19. If you've tested positive for the virus and recently recovered,
You
register
won't pay
today at
Canadians for blood,
blood.ca/help.
but you will
Thanks for
pay
reporting
Americans for
1051,
blood.
and
So
with the
no,
forecast, here's Jill
I
Taylor.
hope you all fucking die. I hope every blood services truck I see hits a fucking apartment. And you get covered in other people's blood.
Guaranteed high today, 2 degrees, some sunny
I hope
breaks
that's
too.
not
For tonight, mainly cloudy, -3.
They pay
And tomorrow,
American
+1,
prisoners
and a chance of
for
flurries.
blood.
For today,
but they
the guaranteed
refuse to
high,
pay
2.
Canadians.
And right now in downtown
Look over
Toronto,
the law,
it's sunny
this
and
and that.
0, feeling more like
Present yourself
-3
as a
with a
charity
factor in the
and
wind.
refuse
Down
to
to
work
Pearson,
against the
it's
government.
sunny and
Wow.
-1. 680 News Time, 10:43.
And this is why life sciences in Canada is racially dominated by white people.
We're joined by Chris
There used to be a dozen life sciences companies, now there's one.
680 News, by my calculation,
Even
for
with
an
money,
eighth
I
time
cannot
now,
save
Porter
my
Airlines is delaying
Zylox
its
for
restart
tomorrow.
date.
Don't do it.
The airline now setting March 29th as a new tentative date. So that will be just
just
over a
had one
year
fall under
since
the
it first
sky.
suspended operations. Back in November, the airline said it expected to restart flights on February 11th. But again, that's now been pushed to March 29th. As far as markets go, we've still got losses on both sides of the border.
2018, so I almost forgot this one. 2018, but you never forget these things. There's so many. Toronto is random. I don't care if your city's got higher murder rate, whatever. This place is random. The person pleading guilty or has pled guilty pushed a complete stranger off the fucking subway platform in front of a train. He died. She died. Because it's happened several times. It's happened a few times. This is a complete stranger. And then they pled guilty. Like it's not an insanity fucking defense. A little fucked up, eh? What usually happens? Oh, they're crazy. If they were deemed crazy and got out 3 more times and did it 3 more times, you'd go, oh, that's almost normal. No, this motherfucker's pleading guilty to kill to murder or whatever. They'll most likely never get out again, right? Or a long time from now, right?
On all new cars in stock. Your safety is our #1 priority. We have masks and gloves ready for you. Looking for a Hyundai? I'm your guy. Visit
Watch, they'll come out later and say they're going to spend the sentence in a hospital.
Okay, listen up. Garage door emergencies? Relax. Since 1958, it's always been Dodge Garage Doors to the rescue.
That's another advertisement on the station. It's called
Listen Up. Repair what's necessary. No upselling. None. For safety service, call Dodge now. DodgeDoors.com. And remember, no one does it better than Dodge does.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
A sunny sky in downtown Toronto is 0, feeling like -3. Good morning, I'm Sarah Parrott.
And I'm Steve Roberts. Here are the top stories on this Monday morning.
Well, as Ontario reports 3,338 new cases of COVID-19 today, a slight dip. The Premier will meet with his cabinet this afternoon to consider new restrictions to fight the spread. This as the province will release new modeling numbers tomorrow, with Doug Ford warning that, quote, turbulent waters lie ahead. Well, the suspect accused of pushing a complete stranger in front of a subway train more than 2 years ago in Toronto has pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. The murder trial of John Rosetsnik was scheduled to begin next week.
Really?
Time for 680 Sports from Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Here's Andrew Nye.
Morning, Sarah. Quick turnaround for the Raptors following a 106-105 loss to the Warriors, and this one stings for Nick Nurse.
I only have one in my head.
And that's not the only subway push that we got up here. It's
Other than
not.
that, we made them make tough shots and tough plays, made them miss a lot, kept them off, kept them for the most part off the glass.
Raptors came all the way back from down 17 in the fourth to take the lead, then took a tough
know
foul
someone
on the
shoved somebody
Warriors'
in front of
final
a train
possession
and he
that led
lived.
to a pair of free throws
Yeah,
and the
they get hit by a
lead for
train.
Golden
There's no
State.
train.
Pascal Siakam then had a chance to win it at the buzzer, but was just a hair off. Toronto right back at it tonight in Portland at 10. We have it on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 1. Pittsburgh Steelers were no match for the Cleveland Browns last night. Browns jumped into a 28-0 lead after one and won their wild card game 48-37. Saints beat the Bears 21-9. Ravens over the Titans 20-13. And some Blue Jays news. Tim Brown of Yahoo Sports reporting the Yankees aren't meeting DJ LeMahieu's asking price, so he's asked his reps to re-engage with those who previously showed interest, the most of which came from the Dodgers, Blue Jays, and Mets. Sports at 15:45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590. 680 News. Traffic alert.
This is coming in the 680 Traffic Center, northbound 427, north of Dundas, and the collectors on James Block is cruising to deal with this collision. The 680 Traffic Watch continues.
I wasn't alone. thousands of homeowners wanted help.
They went above and beyond to help me get a line of credit. It was amazing service.
6, 7, 8. Come on, you piece of shit. You're so good at this hacking. You should be on top of this. It shouldn't be, what is this?
Visit newborough.com. License country 115.
Skipping forwards and going to tracks that I don't
Phone
remember.
data is showing just how much border hopping was happening ahead of the province-wide lockdown late last month. 680's Laura Carney has more. The Ford government giving a 5-day warning ahead of the province-wide lockdown, which went into effect on Boxing Day. According to mobility data shared exclusively with the Toronto Star in the week leading up to Boxing Day,
Now last week, they give us any coordinate.
North region flooded into just 5 shopping malls in Halton and Durham regions, which were still in the province's red zone. The Pickering Town Centre and the Toronto Premium Outlet saw more last-minute Christmas shoppers from lockdown areas than shoppers from their local region.
You said
More than
border
13,000 Torontonians went to Oshawa Centre for their last-minute Christmas shopping, a 155% increase compared to the same week last year. Dr. Jody Lennard, a risk communications expert, telling the Star, warning people of a lockdown several days in advance is a ghastly way to communicate risk and gave people implicit permission to proceed with their holiday plans. I'm Laura Carney. Well, Mexico has now reported its first case of the COVID-19 variant, first detected in the UK. Officials say the 56-year-old patient is a British citizen who traveled from Amsterdam to Mexico City. He's now intubated in hospital. Recent modeling data suggests the variant could become the dominant strain in Ontario as soon as late February. Coming up in 60 seconds, we'll check in with traffic and weather.
680 News Time, 10:50.
Are you having difficulty with reduced urinary flow and increased urinary frequency? You have a condition called BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you're frustrated with your medications but reluctant to undergo prostate surgery, a new clinic dedicated to the diagnosis and treatment of men with BPH is now open in Midtown Toronto. You'll be assessed by a board-certified, university-based urologist with state-of-the-art medical, minimally invasive, and surgical treatment options. To find out more, go to torontoprostateclinic.com.
What happens when you sleep well, you train well, you focus well, you eat well, you play well? Whatever your New Year's resolution, it all starts with better sleep. And that begins at Sleep Country. The New Year, New You event is on now. Get great deals on all your sleep essentials like mattresses, bedding, and pillows. Our sleep experts are online at sleepcountry.ca to help you wake up to better sleep. Sleep well, stay well. Sleep Country.
680 News Time, 10:51.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Kyle Hawking.
This report brought to you by 407 ETR. Big problems on the 427 northbound. North of Dundas and the collectors, all lanes currently blocked by crews. They're dealing with a collision. Vehicles ended up on the left and right sides, so they've blocked all lanes to get this dealt with. One vehicle in poor shape went into the cement divider, it looks like, and has front-end damage. So crews on the scene dealing with this, heavy from approaching Dundas and the collectors to north of it. Unfortunately, if you've already gone past the ramp that leads to Dundas, you're sort of stuck until crews get a lane open. But if you're not yet there, you can exit the North 427 at Dundas and the collectors. Just go east to the East Mall. And then there's a ramp back onto the 427 North, just north of Bloor. It's off of Gibbs Road. You'll see it on the left-hand side, just north of Bloor, and that's where you can rejoin the highway. We've still got a crash cleanup on the 400. Northbound, north of Highway 9, 2 left lanes are blocked. Southbound 400 approaching Highway 9, the left lane still closed as well. There was a fuel tanker that went into the center ditch. It was a double tanker, so a truck carrying 2 tanks of fuel. Traffic spotter says the cab in one of the tanks has been removed now from the scene. The second one is still in the ditch, having been detached. They're having to empty that before they can have it removed. Heavy southbound from approaching Canal to Highway 9 and northbound approaching Highway 9 to north of it, where that issue is. Looks like we just had something on the eastbound Gardner approaching Jameson. Crews were in the right lane. They've now moved on. Not sure what it was. I just saw the back end of the crash truck. But when I called Toronto Transportation, I got a busy signal, and then the crew pulled away. So it looks like all lanes are open, but a bit of residual volume. The safety of drivers, both on and off the road, means everything to 407 ETR. That's why they've developed a COVID assistance program for those who need it most. Next report at 11:01, and with the extended forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
Some sunny breaks and a slight chance of some flurries today. Just a light wind, a bit of a wind chill. The guaranteed high 2 degrees will feel like -2 this afternoon. Tonight, mainly cloudy, -3, and tomorrow, chance of flurries with a high near +1. We'll stay above average. For Wednesday, the high near 3 degrees and quite a bit of cloud. For today, the guaranteed high +2.
Sunny and 0 downtown. Factor in the wind feels more like -3. And over at Pearson right now, it's sunny and -1. 680 news time, 10:53.
You're in the home services business. You're reliable, professional, honest. Your quotes are real. You start when you say. You do the job right. That's what being Google guaranteed as a local services provider says about your business. Customers will know Google vouches for you, and Google guarantees your work. So customers will choose you. Contact Search Kings to set up and manage your local services ads account today. You want to stand out where your customers are online? Switch to Search Kings.
We work for you.
From talking to the newsmakers
To getting the answers to what you need to know about COVID-19.
and answers about your job and finances.
If you have a question, ask it at 680news.com/answers.
680 News gets the answers.
We're in this together.
680
Except
News.
for the occasional essential worker, person walking a dog, or homeless person. Yeah, how do you tell homeless people to get me on the street? You can't. That makes your curfew unconstitutional, bro.
The rear half of a silver Jeep SUV was ripped right open when it was struck by a tractor trailer here on the eastbound 401 by Guelph line, killing both people inside. OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt says witnesses have reported this Jeep speeding and weaving in and out of lanes around 8:30 last night when, for reasons unknown, it pulled over.
It eventually came to a stop partially on the right lane and on the right shoulder. 2 males pronounced deceased. Investigations ongoing.
A passing 18-wheeler struck the back end of the stopped Jeep that was sticking out into the right lane. Both males inside pronounced dead on scene. Cleanup kept eastbound lanes closed here for about 10 hours. They reopened just before 7 this morning. On the 401 west of Milton, I'm Carl Hansky.
Coming up in business news in 60 seconds, another popular TV show is getting a reboot.
680 News time, 10:55.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role at her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
At ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada. ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada.
680 News time, 10:56.
Now the 680 News Business Report. Here's Chris McCusker. Hey, Sarah, I want to play a little game with you, okay? Sure. You ready? I am. Name this TV theme show.
I know what it is, but I don't like that game.
Yeah, I had a feeling you probably knew what it was. Yeah, so it's coming back. It's getting a reboot. Only 3 of the 4 stars, though, will be back in this new 10-episode series. Sarah Jessica Parker, Cynthia Nixon, and Kristen Davis will reprise their roles. Kim Cattrall will not be a part of it. The series will start shooting in the spring, and then it will air on HBO Max. And it comes, believe it or not, nearly 2 decades after the show ended in 2004. Now, HBO is owned by AT&T, and right now it shares in AT&T down by 20 cents to $28.81 a share, although that's kind of the overall theme of the day. We've got Wall Street pulling back from all-time highs. Off the lows for the session, though. The Dow is down by 100 points. The S&P up by 15 and the Nasdaq down by 102. So some caution from investors because the equities were running a little too hot. Politics, believe it or not. Mark Holbert is the senior columnist with Market Watch and Dow Jones.
For 100 years, there has been a very strong correlation between economic uncertainty in the market. This time not. In fact, the economic uncertainty index that I'm referring to is close to high highs that have not been breached except right at the bottom of the pandemic in March. And so if you were to look at any historical pattern, you'd say the market ought to be a lot lower than it is. And the fact is it hasn't done that. And so, first, it's a lesson in humility that the market doesn't always replay the same historical pattern. But nonetheless, you can't imagine that the market can keep going forever in the wake of very high levels of economic uncertainty.
Sitting at 18,000, gold at $12.18, down 16 cents, 52.08, and the Canadian dollar up by 0.7%, 79.10 cents US. I'm Chris McCusker. This is 680 News.
680 News. Traffic alerts. Kyle Hawking in the 680 traffic center. Northbound 427 collector lanes blocked north of Dundas because of a crash. The 680 traffic watch continues.
A no-brainer is a decision with one correct answer. Question: is it worth investing in a home office? Let's rephrase that. Do you want a raise? Look at all the money you're saving doing the same job from home. No commute, no lunches, no daycare, the tax benefits. Take the money. ATM can turn your basement into a home office in 3 weeks. Call now and get $5,000 on these basements.
One thing I can regional weather conditions in Hamilton right now, some light snow, it's -2. Sunshine -3 for Pickering. In Mississauga, a few clouds, -1. Downtown Toronto, it's sunny and 0. The News Watch never stops. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. It's 11 o'clock.
Number one for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are Steve Roberts and Sarah Paris.
Oh, good morning. This is Monday, the 11th of January.
Here's what's making news this hour.
Premier Ford says an announcement is coming tomorrow on additional restrictions to lower COVID-19 cases. It comes with the province reporting 3,338 new cases.
Traffic alert northbound 427 just north of Dundas in the collectors. All lanes are blocked. We got an update just moments away.
It's the start of another huge week in Washington where the Speaker of the House is imploring the Vice President to use the 25th Amendment to remove U.S. President Donald Trump from office. If not, more impeachment hearings could be on the way.
And Porter pushes back its restart date again.
How far can the Bills go in the Leafs skate before Wednesday's season openers? Sports at 15.
Wall Street pulling back from all-time highs. Big expectations from a Canadian yoga pants maker. And Bay Street modestly in the red. Business at 26. 680 News Time, 11:01.
Time now for traffic and weather together on the ones. And just when you thought it was safe to get back in the car again, oh no, Kyle Hawking has an update.
And we've certainly got a few issues. The latest big problem is on the 427 northbound. This report brought to you by 407 ETR. North 427 north of Dundas and the collectors, all live lanes blocked because of this collision. So traffic's just sitting and waiting. They've had to remove the door of one vehicle involved to get the driver out. There's an ambulance on scene. Delays from approaching Dundas and the collectors to north of it, where this problem is. Everybody's being held right now. If you're traveling towards this area, you can take the ramp to Dundas and use the East Mall as an alternate. There's a ramp back onto the 427 north, just north of Bloor. It's off of Gibbs Road. You'll see it on the left-hand side, north of Bloor. Otherwise, if you've gone past the ramp to Dundas, unfortunately, you're just having to sit and wait until they can get a lane open here. So a delay approaching Dundas to north of it in the collectors. I've spotted a pothole repair crew on the eastbound Gardner. This is what's causing that delay. They're just before Spadina, repairing potholes in the right lane. So residual volume Parkside to Spadina as they slowly roll along, stopping intermittently. And then we've got a big problem on the 400 north of the city. Northbound 400 north of Highway 9, 2 left lanes are blocked. Delays approaching Highway 9 to north of it. Southbound 400 approaching Highway 9, the left lane also blocked for the same issue. Delays approaching Canal to Highway 9 after a fuel tanker went into the center ditch. Cleanup continues. Also in Woodbridge, we have King Vaughan Road closed Highway 27 to Kipling for a crash investigation. The safety of drivers both on and off the road means everything to 407 ETR. That's why they've developed a COVID assistance program for those who need it most. Next report at 11:11, and with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
Some sunny breaks and a slight chance of flurries for us today. A light wind, guaranteed high 2, will feel like -2 this afternoon. Tonight, mainly cloudy with a low -3.
For today, the guaranteed high, +2. Mostly sunny sky in downtown Toronto. It's 0. 680 News Time, 11:03.
Well, we've heard a lot over the last couple of months, but the Premier is stressing it in a big way this past weekend that things are going to get much worse before they get better.
This as new COVID case numbers are down from record highs over the weekend. 680's Irene Precklett joins us live with details on today's count. Irene.
Sarah, it's been more than 2 weeks since the province went into lockdown. A slight day-over-day drop today with 3,338 new cases, but testing also lower. We've been warned by Premier Doug Ford the release of new predictions of where the numbers are expected to go in the coming weeks will be shocking. At Queen's Park this morning, the Premier saying he worked through the weekend with new recommendations being announced tomorrow. Infectious disease specialist Dr. Isaac Bogosh tells BT Ontario could be seeing up to 6,000 cases a day by the end of the month.
It's unfortunately going to look very grim. We know that over the holiday season, some of the surveys have demonstrated that about 48% of Canadians were gathering with others that weren't in their household. There's mobility data demonstrating significant mobility, and that's added to all the issues that we had beforehand.
As for the modeling numbers, those are due out tomorrow. The Premier meeting with his cabinet this evening. Reporting live, Irene Precklett, 680 News.
So the paranoid people have everybody hang out
Breaking
in their
news
house.
from Porter Airlines this morning. The company now pushing back its tentative restart date again. The airline now says it plans to restart flights on March the 29th. The previous target, though, was February the 11th. Porter's CEO says because of vaccines, the company is more optimistic now about determining a date to reintroduce flights than at any point since the pandemic began. Another update, though, expected this winter. Porter temporarily suspended its operations back on March 21st, 2020.
680 News Time, 11:05. With breaking news from the courts where a man has pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in connection with the death of a stranger pushed in front of a subway train in 2018. John Rezetnik faces a sentence of life in prison with no chance of parole for between 10 and 25 years. 73-year-old Yosuke Hayahara was killed when he was pushed into the path of a train arriving at Bloor-Yonge subway station. Victim impact statements are expected to be read out during a sentencing hearing next month. And the guilty plea comes 1 week before Rezetnik's trial was to begin.
Well, a second impeachment is on the way now for U.S. President Donald Trump. In the wake of last week's attack on the Capitol, House Democrats now planning to introduce at least one article of impeachment today. 680's Momin Qureshi is following all the latest developments from the Capitol this morning. Joining us live now with more.
Steve, the very latest is right now on the floor of the House in the Capitol. That single article of impeachment is being introduced. Now, it does say that President Trump is being impeached for inciting an insurrection and for those conversations he had with the Georgia Attorney General leading up to the certification of the election, where he told him to try to find some votes. Kate Shaw with ABC says this is definitely an impeachable event.
The context of a president sticking to hang on to power, using his public purge, is sort of exactly what the framers had in mind when they drafted the impeachment process and included it in the Constitution, right? A demagogue who seeks to retain office through whatever means he can. That is the context in which these riots occur.
You got to be careful because
this would be introduced to the floor of the House today because they can put things into motion in terms of actually holding hearings, and that type of thing would begin on Wednesday. However, there is talk that the Democrats in the House and in the Senate may want to wait until after Joe Biden takes office on January 20th to hold those hearings. Part of the reason of that is what they really are, one of the things that they are after is preventing Trump from running again in 2024. Also, that 25th Amendment that the Vice President could invoke still looms as a possibility, although unlikely. Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
680 News, traffic alert.
This is Kyle Hawking, the 680 Traffic Center, northbound 427 north of Dundas and the Collectors. Traffic once again being let through in the center lane, even though collision cleanup is still taking place. The 680 Traffic Watch continues.
Well, the Trudeau government and the Canada Revenue Agency are trying to close a loophole in order to prevent people from accessing pandemic benefits if they've ignored public health advice and traveled abroad. With more, here's our Parliament
Yeah,
Hill
but that means you
reporter,
gotta ask them all why they
Beginning
travel.
today, anyone applying for one of 3 federal COVID benefits will be required to say if they are in quarantine because they traveled outside the country despite the advice of public health officials. There are fears people who ignored the advice and took a trip would be able to access the $500 a week sickness benefit, which is supposed to be for people who don't have paid sick leave but need to take time off due to COVID. The new requirement comes into effect after the Prime Minister announced last week the government would be cracking down. It's also in effect for the recovery benefit and the caregiving benefit. The government is drafting legislation to retroactively change the rules, denying the benefits to anyone who traveled abroad after January 3rd. The Canada Revenue Agency is delaying processing applications until the bill is passed. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
This just into 680 News. The government source confirming that the Ford government is not considering a curfew at this time. It is not being recommended by Ontario health officials. Again, government sources confirming to 680 News and to City News that the Ford government is not considering a curfew, at least not yet. We'll have the details coming up at the bottom of the hour.
680 News Time, 11 at 9.
Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day.
All you need to do is have people spend in the fucking energy every time they say violating
For anyone who has ever bounced
the one lawyer said don't do that.
The emptiness is
palpable.
But we will return to the field. The pitch, the stadium.
We'll feel the sun on our faces and team spirit in our hearts.
We'll collectively rise up and cheer. We did it.
And it will be a healthy planet again.
HealthyPlanetCanada.com.
And now time for the 680 News gas price update. Info says no change at midnight tonight. Should hold at $1.12.9 a liter.
680 News Time, 11:10.
It's a new year, and Maple Auto Mall wants to get you back on the road. Our largest incentives are on now on all your favorite brands. Honda, Toyota, Mazda, Volkswagen, and Acura. Get 0% financing, cashback incentives, and no payment for 90 days on select models. Book an appointment to see us, or open by appointment with safety measures in place. Visit MapleAutomall.ca. People don't usually sing about their mortgage, but at Northwood Mortgage they do. They sing about lower rates. They sing about greater cash flow. They sing because we help them. You could be singing about your mortgage too. Come on, try it with us. Come on, try it. There you go.
Not yet. It still came out through the fucking wall.
Mortgage.com.
680 News Time, 11:11.
Time now for traffic and weather together on the line. Here's Kyle Hawkins.
And this report brought to you by Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. We've got this collision 427 northbound, north of Dundas and the Collectors. 2 center lanes now getting through, but the left and right lanes are still blocked for crash cleanup. They're just putting vehicles involved on tow trucks now. Still heavy approaching Dundas to north of it in the Collectors, but I don't think I'd recommend an alternate anymore, as that may take you the same amount of time to use the alternate as it would be just to wait.
So hopefully melted it anyway. Clear that road fast just to prove you're the one in command of these highways.
You'll find the other big issue.
No matter what, though, you don't do that things.
That's northbound 400 and southbound. In fact, northbound 400 north of Highway 9, 2 left lanes are blocked.
Never heard of you.
And southbound 400 approaching Highway 9, the left lane also blocked. A tanker truck that was a cab towing 2 tanks of fuel crashed into the center ditch. So we've got the cab and one of the tanks already having been removed. Second tank is still in the ditch and being unloaded of fuel before they move it. So that's why lane restrictions in effect each way, and it's still busy on the approach each way, northbound from Highway 9 to north of it.
The one's bad enough that they can't move it to
Highway 9.
Why would they move
collisions on city streets? Traffic spotter called from Vaughan. Looks
They
like the
move it
Weston
and they
Road
just
and
pull it
Major
up the
Mackenzie
ditch.
intersection
Yeah,
is partially
specific.
blocked. I do see eastbound traffic getting through the intersection, but no other direction getting through at Major Mac and Weston with this collision being cleaned up. And then we've got in Vaughan, in Woodbridge rather, Highway King Von Road closed Highway 27 to Kipling.
I'm more interested in emailing this fucking podcast about petroglyphs to China. They were just talking about petroglyphs.
Call 1-800-567-HURT for your free
I
consultation.
sent them the thing on the fishing rights.
And with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
There is a slight chance
The U.S. goes through the Taiwan Strait. They do that sometimes. Canada sends
will feel like -2 this afternoon. Some sunny breaks as well. Tonight mainly cloudy -3. It'll feel like -8. And for tomorrow, chance of flurries and +1. For today, the guaranteed high 2. Right now in downtown Toronto, it's mostly sunny and 0 over at Pearson Airport.
We'll
Some
survive,
fog
but the
and
government of
mist,
Canada
actually.
won't win.
Some sunshine poking through. Also 0 feels like -5. 680 News
The
Time.
difference between the United States and Canada in this regard, the United States been supplying Taiwan with all those armaments. They don't give a fuck about Canada.
No, but we're still talking about mostly modest decline, Steve, and U.S. markets pulling back from all-time highs.
So I sent them the thing on
We
our
are
fishing
hearing that
rights.
the process is starting to begin in the
what the
U.S.
Chinese
capital,
government would do. We bought the competition.
U.S.
Fuck
President
outta
Donald
here.
Trump impeached
50
for a
million.
second time during his term.
Take it and go.
Now
We'll buy
markets
some more meth
were
with
already in the
What they're
red.
gonna do with 250
The
million?
Dow right
Blow
now
it
is
all.
down 133. The
We already
S&P up
know.
by 16. The Nasdaq down by
That's the-
131. And the TSX
Won't they use the
down
money
by
against
54
you?
points,
They're not that smart.
17,987. You do have gold stocks moving lower, even though gold itself is up $13, 18.49. Oil down 20 cents, 52.04. And the Canadian dollar lower by 67.100, 78.14 cents US. We are seeing strength in the US dollar today. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
Markets are changing more than ever. A financial advisor can help address your evolving portfolio needs. Speak to a financial advisor and learn more at dynamic.ca.
Faudrait que je vais jouer un film de...
Pardonnez la décadence organique. Mes corps sont paisibles. On devine. Ça laisse les pépines. Ça tout reste libertine. Agitation tropicale, créature astrale. Pour tes salons transporter l'antenne élégance idéale. Agitation tropicale, symphonie spatiale. L'image à force imposant l'exubérance impériale.
Ça a été imité parfois, entre autres, TQS le fait, il l'a sur Netflix maintenant, la plupart.
L'effet en série.
La grosse nouvelle du jour dans le monde de la série télé, c'est certainement le retour de Sex and the City. Oui, vous m'avez bien entendu. Sex and the City sera de retour pour une saison complète. Là, on ne parle pas d'un film ou d'un épisode spécial. C'est vraiment une saison de 10 épisodes qui sera diffusée sur HBO, comme à l'origine. On va retrouver les personnages de Carrie Bradshaw. On va retrouver aussi Miranda Hobbs et Charlotte, la marchande d'art. Mais on ne retrouvera pas, je crois, Samantha Jones parce que Kim Cattrall, l'actrice qui incarnait le personnage de Samantha Jones, cette femme libérée.
In the Ravens Saturday night in the divisional round, Ravens advanced with a 20-13.
non plus mentionné du tout dans la bande-annonce, mais on sait qu'il y avait eu des chicanes entre Kim Cattrall et certains membres de l'équipe, donc c'est peut-être à cause de ça, on ne le sait pas. La date de sortie n'est pas encore précisée, mais on dit que les premières scènes devraient être tournées à la fin du printemps, à New York, bien entendu. Il y a une
Past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
Critics are calling it one of Nissan's biggest sales events of the season.
Ce n'est pas qu'une rumeur, c'est vrai, il y aura une nouvelle saison, on ne sait pas quand. J'ai hâte et j'ai peur en même temps, on dirait.
Oui, c'est incroyable. C'est ça. Alors, il y a des activités constamment, mais il y a jamais c'est la télévision de vidéo qui est anti-spectaculaire. On fait juste filmer une promenade. Il y a quelque chose pour moi qui relève du ASMR, ce qu'on appelle le automatic censoring du respect, on en a déjà parlé ensemble. C'est que c'est des sons qui sont vraiment importants et aussi, dans ce cas-là, il y a du visuel.
Teachers will give us a usual we have to take a second, count to like 3.
C'est exotique parce qu'on est dans une ville
8% 5-year fixed. No gimmicks, no fees. Standard mortgages at 1.38% 5-year fixed. To learn if you qualify, go to butlermortgage.ca now.
License number 12118, cut ratio fixed rate APR of 1.39%.
680 News Time, 11:18.
Some new numbers showing the impact of delaying that province-wide lockdown just before Christmas and what it kind of had on the impact of new COVID cases. Thousands of people, of course, did a lot of border hopping leading up to the holiday.
It will likely come as no surprise. Experts say border hopping ahead of the Boxing Day lockdown did have an impact on the province's COVID-19.
They didn't delay anything. These idiots started saying it'll be 12:01 on the 24th, 12:01 on the 26th. What was the delay? What was the delay?
A few days before the lockdown did the most damage of all the weeks leading up to Boxing Day. According to the data, the Toronto Star reports in the week leading up to Boxing Day, nearly 102,000 people from Toronto, PLA, and region flooded into just 5 shopping malls in Halton and Durham regions are still in the province's red zone. The Pickering Town Centre and the Toronto Premium Outlet saw more last-minute Christmas shoppers from lockdown areas than shoppers from their local region. I'm Laura Kearney.
Well, turns out Quebec's first weekend of tough new COVID measures, including a nightly curfew, saw thousands of dollars worth of fines handed out. Police say a handful of protesters were caught violating the curfew, which runs from 8 o'clock in the evening to 5 o'clock every day, but most people have been obeying it. Fines for violating the new measure can go as high as $6,000. And just keeping in mind some breaking news coming from Richard Southern. No curfew, an overnight curfew not being recommended now by health officials at this time. Sources confirming that news to 680 News this morning. 680 News Time, 11:20.
It's the Ram 4x4 winter event.
I need more dramatic names. Like the Ram Winter doesn't stand a chance of it. Discounts on Ram trucks. So that's a no? Okay. How about the Ram Old Man Winter better running higher than 25% off MSRP on the 2020 Ram 1500 Classic. Also no? Okay. For up to $14,600 in total discounts. Well, discounts that big, it doesn't matter what you call it. See your Ram dealer for details.
At Scotiabank,
Tell me who
we
thought
know
up
it can
the
be hard to
Eagle
balance your
Diesel.
savings goals and enjoy your
Don't
life
even
today.
sound like a
The
truck
Scotiabank
motor.
Savings Accelerator account can help. For a limited time, earn 1.5% interest to help build your TFSA or RRSP faster. So you can accelerate towards what your head is planned for tomorrow and let your heart enjoy what it needs today. Visit scotiabank.com/accelerate to open a savings accelerator account today. Conditions apply. Interest is calculated daily.
City News Time, 11:21.
Time now for traffic and weather together all on the ones. It's been a very busy morning, Kyle Hockey, but some good news now. That's along.
Yeah, that 427 issue has just cleared. This report brought to you by Pizza. Crash weekend northbound 427 north of Dundas. Collectors, all lanes open now after everything was removed from the scene. Previously, all lanes had been blocked, so good news there. Although it only caused a backup from approaching Dundas to north of it. Now as I look through here, it's moving well once again. So all lanes open and volume eased off completely. And we still have a heavy spot on the 400 north of the city. It's northbound 400 north of Highway 9. 2 left lanes are blocked. Southbound 400 approaching Highway 9. The left lane also closed. Crews are working on a fuel tanker in the center ditch. It was a truck of a cab of a truck that was towing a double fuel tanker. So we had 2 tanks being towed by 1 cab. And one of the tanks, as well as the cab, were moved from the scene already, but the second one is still in the ditch and being emptied of fuel before they move it. So lane restrictions in effect, southbound 400 heavy approaching Canal to approaching Highway 9, northbound busy approaching Highway 9 to north of it as well. I will mention as well the eastbound Gardner rolling pothole crew that was by Spadina has cleared away, so no delays into downtown along this route. 2 spots to mention off the highways. In Woodbridge, King Vaughan Road is closed, Highway 27 to Kipling for a crash investigation. We have a crash at the Weston Road and Major Mackenzie intersection in Vaughan. We had eastbound traffic getting through. Looks like westbound traffic's also squeezing by, but north and southbound looks like still blocked at the intersection. Get pizza delivered in a tamper-proof box. Order any size pizza and receive it in a box. It can be opened by you. Safe, reliable delivery. That's pizza.
Well, they were using fucking hockey sticks.
Some chance, though, otherwise just a lot of clouds.
It's locked. It's a locked cardboard box.
A guaranteed high 2 degrees, -3 for the low. It'll feel like -8.
How do you tamper with the pizza?
Chance of worrisome +1. Wednesday, cloudy with a high near 3. We're above average. Average high -2. For today, the guaranteed high +2.
We've got some fog rolling in downtown Toronto. It is 0 over Pearson Airport. Same conditions.
And coming up at the bottom of the hour, we will have the latest on the COVID case numbers in Ontario today. Now, at the same time, sources confirming to our Richard Southern that the Ford government is now not considering a curfew right now, and that it'll not be recommended by Ontario health officials as part of those tighter restrictions that we're expecting to hear more on tomorrow.
680 News Time, 11:24.
Out with the old and in with the new. It's something you hear a lot this time of year. Making space in your life is what a new year is for. Get a fresh start in your home and your life with Access Storage. With a safe place to store the belongings you love but don't have space for. Access Storage can be your resolution solution with flexible and affordable storage options and more than.
Thank you for calling.
When a winter storm.
Please leave your comment that may be used on air now.
There was no delay in putting the lockdown in effect. You said you had a source that told you it would be 0 hours, 1 minute on the 24th. And 2 days later, you found out it was the 26th. Now there's a huge delay. It's 2 days. And it's because you said it'd be the 24th. The government didn't. And there's no borders between municipalities in this jurisdiction. You might call them boundaries. In fact, they're called municipal boundaries. You know what the U.S. border is called? Rather the Canada-U.S. border, rather the international boundary. It's called the international boundary. So none of these people were border hopping. And you really think 2 days delay because you got the day wrong, made all this shit happen? You're on fucking drugs. We were looking at 6,000 cases mid-December. And you think it's going to be a huge increase to 6,000 in January? You people are on fucking drugs and you're bad at math. I don't know how you passed college when you must have failed high school.
Thank you. Goodbye.
I'm Patricia from Lancaster, and that's why we're Walmart.
This ad is sponsored by Walmart.
Things are changing.
I spend more time harassing the local radio station than calling the cops.
Extra rich.
Yeah, I just said
Come in and try the newest dark roast for yourself. It's our boldest comeback ever. It's time for Tim's, our participating restaurants in Canada.
You can walk around doing whatever the fuck you want. You can look around and see why. What happened to the last guy used to do what you're doing?
Chris is seeing some pullbacks on the markets today.
Yes, and the reasoning behind it seems very interesting. So Wall Street pulling back from
everybody understands.
We are hearing that House Democrats are moving forward with impeaching the U.S. president for a second time. The Dow right now is down 68. The S&P up by 21. The Nasdaq down 96. Now, Mark Hulbert is a senior columnist with MarketWatch, Dow Jones, Barron's, and the Wall Street Journal. And markets do look into the future, but it seems they are looking past the political drama and concerns around coronavirus.
That can't be used as an excuse. It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card to completely ignore what's going on in the current situation. And indeed, one of the levels of uncertainty right now, one of the causes of the high levels of uncertainty right now, is the fact that we just don't know how bad the current wave, we call it a wave, who knows whether it's even a wave or whether it's just a continuation of the previous one, but it looks like we're going to have a very awful winter. There is uncertainty as to whether the vaccine even works against some of these new strains and mutations of the virus and so forth.
Now, Canada's Lululemon says revenue and earnings for its fourth quarter are forecast to come in at the top end of earlier expectations. The athletic clothing retailer, which is best known for its yoga pants, says it now expects its percentage growth rate for net revenue compared to a year ago will be at the high end of its earlier expectations from mid to high teens. Now, the company's fourth quarter ends on January 31st, so we'll have to wait a little while to know for sure. Shares in Lululemon, which only trade in the U.S., up by about 0.5% right now to $367.73. The TSX is down 44 points, 17,000.
How long have I been pointing out she's making that noise?
Gold is higher by $13 right now, $18.48.
She does not have some sort of syndrome that she had
as are
before
the
her whole
energy
life or
stocks with
something.
oil off by 20
It's not
cents
allergies.
to 52.04.
Because even if it's the wrong season, 3 months ago it was the wrong season too. So was 3 months before that. So it's not allergies.
And I'll point out the loonie is off its low for the day. It's still down by 0.6 cents, 78.22 cents U.S. I'm Chris McCusker. This is 680 News.
Does your credit card debt keep you up at night? I know mine did. Hi, I'm Adam, and 6 years ago, I was no different, so I started New Borrow. Our proven
$155 gets you an ounce of weed. Welcome to fucking Canada.
Now I sleep at night, my debts are paid off, and I only make one monthly payment.
Read hundreds of other 5-star Google reviews and apply today to start saving.
Vermont State Police or whichever fucking group that is today. I can't remember.
Newboro.com. License code 3115.
But I'll get a kick out of getting stopped by the cops in the U.S. because in the back of my head, all I'm thinking is, no, the front of my head, you can't kick me out. Oh, take me to jail just like a real American.
Field roast, crafted with quality, fresh whole fruit ingredients and Italian seasonings.
Ride the partner. I'll flip out just like Jimmy Cornier.
Make it all vegan with our dairy-free cheese and taste the plant-based difference.
Yeah, if you dedicate government vehicles and resources to that.
And meteorologist Jill Taylor's forecast for the day today, we're looking at mostly cloudy conditions, although again some sunny breaks on and off today. Guaranteed high of 2 degrees, and the 680 News weather guaranteed jackpot now standing at $24,100. For tonight, mainly cloudy, a low down to -3, wind chill of -8. 680 News time, 11:30.
Number 1 for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Sarah Barrett and Steve Robert. Good morning. It's Monday, January 11th.
And here's what's making news this hour.
Despite rising COVID-19 case numbers and predictions of an even more dire situation, Ontario health officials are not recommending a curfew.
Another delay for Porter. The airline is now eyeing a restart date in late March, 1 year after suspending flights.
Democrats unveiled a resolution to impeach Donald Trump, citing an incitement of an insurrection. But there's multiple options as to when that impeachment could take place. There's also a chance the 25th Amendment could still be used.
In the wake of the storming of Capitol Hill, Canada's public safety minister is considering labeling the right-wing group the Proud Boys as a terrorist organization.
Maple Leafs trimmed down their training camp rosters. Season opener Wednesday against Montreal. Raptors in Portland tonight. Sports at 45.
We've got modest losses on Wall Street as markets pull back from records. Some U.S. companies are rethinking political contributions, and Bay Street is modestly in the red. Business at 56.
That was about the Shermans.
680 News time, 11:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the line. Here's Kyle Hawking.
Well, our one ongoing highway issue is on the 400. This report brought to you by 407 ETR. A truck that was towing a double tankers, crashed into the center median between the north and southbound lanes on the 400 north of Highway 9 last night at about 9:45. So that cleanup is still going on. They've detached the cab as well as one of the two trailers, one of the two tanks, and removed those from the scene. The second tank, still in the center ditch, was being emptied of fuel at last update. So delays on this route. Northbound
105 right next
north
to
of
the
Highway 9, two left lanes are blocked. It is slow from approaching Highway 9 to north of it. And southbound 400 approaching Highway 9, left lane also blocked by crews. Delays approaching Canal Road to Highway 9 where that issue is. Otherwise, the highway is now fine. No other problems to report. Volume pretty light elsewhere. And if you're traveling city streets, the collision we had at Weston Road and Major Mackenzie is now cleared. But we still have one in Woodbridge. King Vaughan Road is closed from Highway 27 to Kipling for collision investigation. The safety of drivers both on and off the road means everything to 407 here. That's why they've developed a COVID assistance program for those who need it most. Next reported 11:41 and with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
So she's telling the stock boy to do something about me harassing somebody who's a heroin dealer.
Not too bad of a day. We are above average. Our guaranteed high 2 degrees. We feel like -2 this afternoon. Tonight, mainly cloudy with a low near -3. For today, our guaranteed high +2.
And right now in downtown, we've got a few clouds and 0, feeling like -3. When you factor in that wind out of Pearson Airport right now, it is also 0. 680 News Time 11:33.
By the way, why are you letting people put their shoes in
We have some breaking news. We're hearing today that Ontario will not follow in the footsteps of Quebec when it comes to new measures to fight the spread of COVID-19. Premier Ford will meet with his cabinet later today ahead of tomorrow's release of new projections. Something we have been warned will be a real wake-up call.
And 680's Irene Precklett joining us live with the latest, including today's case count. Irene.
And Steve, Ontario's cabinet is meeting this evening to consider new measures to try to bring the case numbers under control. But government sources say a curfew is not being recommended by Ontario health officials. This comes with the release of new COVID-19 projections being released tomorrow, something the Premier has called shocking and scary. Infectious disease specialist Dr. Isaac Bogosh tells Breakfast Television he thinks the projections will be very grim.
You know, there already is a large number of new cases per day.
They have to stack up
up
every time I grab one.
to about 6,000 new cases per day. If we don't do anything about this, we know the hospitals are stretched. We know the ICUs are full. January is going to be a very, very difficult month.
As for today's numbers, 3,338 new cases being reported, about 44% of those in Toronto and Peel region. 29 additional deaths brings the total number of lives lost to 5,012 since the pandemic began. Reporting live, Irene Precklett, 680 News. For the 8th time, Porter Airlines has delayed its restart date. 680 Business Editor Chris McCusker with those details. The airline is now setting March 29th as a new tentative date, just over a year since it first suspended operations. Back in November, the regional airline said it expected to restart flights on February 11th, but revised those plans in light of a continued surge in COVID-19 cases. And this announcement also comes after the federal government implemented a new rule which requires international travelers provide evidence of a negative COVID-19 test prior to arrival. In a statement, Porter's president and CEO, Michael DeLuce, says the introduction of the vaccine has given the airline more confidence about returning to operations, but it still needs to assess the situation. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
You're listening to Toronto's only all-news radio station. This is 680 News. A man is now pleaded guilty to intentionally pushing a stranger in front of a subway train at Bloor Yonge Station several years ago. According to facts read in court, John Rosetnik pushed 73-year-old Yosuke Hayahara in front of the train shortly after 10 o'clock in the morning on June the 18th of 2018.
Japan has the highest life
sentence of life in prison with no chance of parole for between 10 and 25 years. Rosetnik's trial was scheduled to begin in a week.
Well, to the U.S. now, the House of Representatives has formally introduced an article of impeachment against U.S. President Donald Trump for the second time. 680's Momin Qureshi joins us live with the latest from the States. Momin.
Sarah, here is the latest. This resolution was just read on the floor of the House.
Resolution calling on Vice President Michael R. Pence to convene and mobilize the principal officers of the executive departments of the cabinet to activate Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to declare President Donald J. Trump incapable of executing the duties of his office and to immediately exercise powers as acting president.
So that is one of the moves that Democrats are pushing for, is for Vice President Pence to actually invoke the 25th Amendment, get the support of 8 of the cabinet members, and remove President Trump from the Oval Office before his 9 days are up. The other thing that the Democrats are pushing forward is bringing an article of impeachment, one article of impeachment to the floor of the House as well, and have it read out. That says that Trump should be impeached for inciting an insurrection, also for the call that he made to the Georgia State Attorney General, calling for him to try to find more votes to overturn the Georgia election, which Trump had lost. All this is going to move pretty quickly this week. However, that impeachment could actually happen after Biden already takes power. Reporting live, I'm Owen Qureshi.
Well, the Trudeau government is now looking at labeling the right-wing group, the Proud Boys, as a terrorist organization in the wake of the storming of the Capitol in Washington. With details, here's our Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney.
A statement from Public Safety Minister Bill Blair's office says national security agencies are monitoring the Proud Boys and other extreme right-wing groups and gathering evidence to support the label of a terrorist organization. The government says such a determination will give law enforcement more investigative tools and allow financial institutions to freeze the group's assets. But Phil Gursky with Borealis Threat and Risk Consulting tells me this is largely just a political move.
When's the last time a terrorist cared about the law then? So if the Proud Boys see that they're listed, do you think they care? Of course they don't care. In fact, it might be a badge of honor for them that they're getting more attention than perhaps they deserve.
Members of the Proud Boys, which was founded in Canada, where the Capitol building when security was breached, prompting a push from the NDP to have the group listed as a terrorist organization. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Well, this just into 680 News. Hospital network in London has fired its CEO after he traveled internationally several times during the pandemic. The London Health Sciences Centre says Dr. Paul Woods traveled to the U.S. 5 times since March, including during the December holidays. Woods' travel came to light on Friday, and the hospital network at that time said it supported his continued leadership. Stay with 680 News for more on this developing story.
You're listening to 680 News. We got some old lottery tickets lying around. I want to consider checking them. KLG says there are a number of winning lottery tickets from early 2020 still unclaimed.
The Toronto Sun reports there are more than 24 big dollar lotto winners out there, including 3 prizes worth $1 million each. The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation says 27 tickets for early 2020 remain unclaimed. The $1 million prizes for Lotto 649 are on tickets purchased in Burlington on February 25th, Cambridge on April 15th, and in Markham June 24th. The spokesperson for the OLG tells The Sun the pandemic did change the buying patterns for tickets, and those who were accustomed to checking their tickets at retail locations, leading to some tickets perhaps being put aside and forgotten. Any winning ticket amounts that go unclaimed for Lotto Max or 649 go back into bonus games or promotions. Smaller unclaimed amounts are returned to the province. At the Business Center, I'm Michael.
680 News Time, 11:39.
Your head says, make sound investments for the future. But your heart says, invest in that new sound system right now. With Advice Plus from Scotiabank, we can help you balance both, so you can live for today and save for tomorrow. Working together, we'll build a plan and add investment solutions along the way. So, the plan that helps you invest for tomorrow can still sound fantastic today. Get started at scotiabank.com/investing. Advice Plus, only from Scotiabank.
And now the 680 News gas price update, and Pro predicts the price won't change at midnight, staying at $1.12.9 a liter. 680 News Time, 11:40.
Hi, Anthony Longo here. This year, we've all been craving comfort food, which is why we've made feeding your family more comfortable too. We'd love to see you in any one of our stores, but we can also have your groceries ready for pickup or delivered through Grocery Gateway. And if you're looking for prepared meals on nights that you'd rather not cook, you can order takeout at longos.com or find us on Uber Eats. For quality that meets your family's standards, no matter how you shop, trust
that shit,
Longos.
because of the light, you won't see this side. That's COVID residue.
It's a whole new way to get ready for boating
That's
season.
what you'll do if you get this vaccine
International
and you
Boat
get
Show.
exposed to a
Connect
lot
with
of
exhibitors,
virus.
attend
You
seminars,
will
and
be
plan your summer.
asymptomatic carrier.
Shop for thousands of
Your
boats and accessories.
vaccines are
What's
you.
so much better with a boat? January 18th to 24th.
We are summer. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
The Toronto Boat Show.
Register for free at TorontoBoatShow.com.
680 News Time, 11:41. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Kyle Hawking.
This report is brought to you by Indigo Books and Music. If you're traveling the highways, our one issue right now is on the 400 north of the city. It's northbound 400 north of Highway 9, where 2 left lanes are blocked by crews. They're dealing with a cleanup of a tanker truck that went into the center ditch. And southbound 400, just as you approach Highway 9, the left lane is also blocked for that same reason. Not as heavy southbound now. The northbound 400 still jammed from approaching Highway 9 to north of it. You'll find a southbound delay from south of Canal down towards Highway 9, but it's moving better southbound. The last update from the scene, we had was a truck cab that was towing a double fuel tanker trailer. So the cab and one of the two tanks has been removed. The other one's now being emptied of fuel in the center ditch before it's removed as well. So still lane restrictions here and delays in each direction. Otherwise, your highway's in good shape right now, right across the GTA. No other problems, though I am seeing a bit of volume on the westbound 401 heading through Brock Street. Maybe just volume here, or perhaps something on the shoulder, but it's just outside of the view we have on the camera, so I can't see if there is lane blocked. I don't believe so. It doesn't look quite slow enough for that, but we'll see if I can get the MTO to give me a better view. We have on city streets in Woodbridge, King Vaughan Road closed from Highway 27 to Kipling for a collision investigation. Indigo's wellness event is on. Save 15 to 25% off wellness essentials like self-help books, Bala weights, Casper pillows, and more. Visit indigo.ca. Exclusions apply. Next report at 11:51, and with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
No major weather makers
would like
for
to
us
see
this
what
week,
is
but don't be
happening,
surprised if we
what
do
the
get some
actual-
flurries at times today and again for tomorrow. Guaranteed high today, 2 degrees, some sunny breaks too. For tonight, mainly cloudy, -3, and tomorrow, +1. Again, the chance of flurries. For today, the guaranteed high, 2. And right now in downtown Toronto, we've got foggy sky. It's 0, feels like -4. Same conditions at Pearson Airport. 680 News Time, 11:43. Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute, live from the Business Center. Here's Chris McCusker.
Well, Sarah, Wall Street pulling back from all-time highs. We've seen a pretty big run-up in U.S. equities, and it seems markets looking past the politics in Washington. We are hearing the Democrats are moving forward with the impeachment or attempted impeachment, let's say, of the for the second time of U.S. President Donald Trump, with just 9 days left in his term. So the Dow right now is down 61, the S&P off by 14, the Nasdaq down 97. Very modest declines and some caution, perhaps, from U.S. investors heading into this week. The TSX down 55 points, 17,986. And gold is higher by $12, 18.47. Gold stocks lower on the base rate. Energy lower as well, with oil down 14 cents, 52.11. And the Canadian dollar down by about half a cent now, 78.30 cents US. It's lower for a fourth day, but it is on this low. Business Center on
The greatest building a plan with a financial advisor today.
Telling you it's time for a car wash. Luckily, Shell is here to take
Rowdy
you
place.
cruising washes and getting you more. When Air Miles collectors fuel up at Shell and purchase an ultimate car wash, they can save 5 cents per liter on their next visit to Shell. Shell, taking care of that clean car feeling. Learn more at shell.ca/taking care. Terms and conditions apply. Have you heard about Ozempic? That's right, Ozempic comes in a pre-filled pen. And good news, Ozempic is covered by the Intelligent Insurance Fund and ODB, the Ontario Drug Benefit Program. Talk to your doctor today to see what Ozempic can
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
So an hour
Sky
and
in
what?
downtown
8 minutes
Toronto
ago.
is 0, feeling like -4. Good morning, I'm Sarah Paris.
There's
Here's top
some
stories this
about
hour.
what
As the Premier gets set to meet with his cabinet later today to discuss tighter pandemic restrictions, Ontario is reporting a slight drop in COVID cases today, 3,338 new infections. And those restrictions will be announced tomorrow after new modeling is released. A government source tells 680 News a curfew is not on the table for Ontario. Well, the list of Ontario officials who have gone against provincial guidance and traveled outside the country continues to grow. The CEO of the London Health Sciences Centre has been fired for traveling to the U.S. 5 separate times during the pandemic. And Congress has formally introduced an article of impeachment against President Trump. He's charged with inciting an insurrection on the heels of last week's attack on Capitol Hill. Time for 680 Sports from Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Here's Andrew Nye.
Sarah Sheldon Keefe praised both after Saturday's scrimmage, and today Travis Boyd and Adam Brooks made the team, the Leafs trimming their camp roster to 26, which includes 15 forwards. Youngster Nick Robertson also in that group. So much promise with this kid who already has an Austin Matthews level shot.
It's just a matter of getting to the spots, right? Like, can you get the shot? Can you get the ice time? Can you do everything else? Can you be on the power play? But just in a vacuum, in terms of shooting the puck, we're talking that level shot from the kid.
There's Justin.
Font circuler, ils ont même formellement déposé leur résolution d'impeachment.
Oui, ça a été fait ce matin. Un seul chef d'accusation contre M. Trump, souvenez-vous.
Et on se dansait, c'est transversal. Tentative et enchantement, tonnerre de vent. Singer la confiance des camps meurtriers. Dans un placard proliféré en habit de soirée. C'est encore plus doux que la haine.
On your smart speaker or smartphone, streaming anywhere in the world on zoomerradio.ca or downtown on FM 96.7 and across Southern Ontario on AM 740, anywhere you want. Find out how at mortgage.duca.
Bien sûr que oui, nous savons pleurer, creuser fort sous un ciel vide d'infantilité.
And you'll be supporting the Canadian Cancer Society when you sign up.
Comme la lune, la nuit apparaît dans ma vie. Comme une étincelle, elle met le feu sous la pluie.
Mobility data shared exclusively with the Toronto Star in the week before the lockdown.
Oh, we're going to go by cell phone data. We're going to pick what type of phone, what company, all that. But it's real data. The Toronto Stars have the same paper it used to be. And they're going over the border. It's not border. When the province says you have no jurisdiction.
Sometimes the moon hides in the clouds so high above me. Her beauty fell beyond my glances.
You got the white guy singing in English.
Borders. I'm Laura Carney. Coming up in 60 seconds, we'll check in with traffic and weather.
I roll the dice and take my chances. Mais tu iras si jamais je m'en vais. Ça me rendrait si jamais tu partais. Mais tu iras si jamais je m'en vais. Ça me rendrait si jamais tu
Never wear a wet mask. Why? It works better. You're talking about a mask that
in the desert of my heart, cut with the silver sunlight. But as the hours pass, I pray for her returning to me. A lonely shadow in the moonlight. A lonely shadow in the moonlight. Mais tu iras si jamais je m'en vais. Ça me rendrait si jamais tu partais. mais tu iras où si jamais je m'en vais. Ça me rendrait si jamais tu partais. Et derrière chacun de tes pas, je suis là, mais tu ne me vois pas si. Tu ne me vois pas si. Je suis derrière chacun de tes pas, je suis là, mais tu ne me vois pas si. Tu ne me vois pas si. Je suis là. Comme la rose rouge qu'elle a posée sur ma poitrine. J'ai prié de peur qu'elle s'envole et ne s'abîme. Elle a fait de moi la victime de mes insomnies. Et je me demande comment je fais pour tenir jusqu'ici. Et si jamais je m'en vais, mais tu iras où si jamais je m'en vais, ça me rendrait si jamais tu partais. Mais tu iras où si jamais je m'en vais, ça me rendrait si jamais tu partais. Mais tu iras où si jamais je m'en vais, ça me rendrait mais tu iras où si jamais je m'en vais, ça me rendrait
J'aimerais ça faire un bout de chemin.
Coast Highway 27 to Kipling.
Et chaque jour c'est le même refrain. Prends ma main, vol en première classe à bord d'un paper plane. J'ai envie de body, tout à ton patron, patron faire tes valises. Tropical, n'oublie pas ton morning fini. Et rejoins-moi dans la Maserati, tout bien que le baiser ses bras. C'est moi qui fait ça, tu peux pas partir avec moi si t'es pas prêt à te des résultats. Parce qu'il y a trop de choses qu'on n'a pas vues.
And a bit of that wind making it feel more like -4. Out of Pearson Airport right now it's 0, but feeling like -5. 680 News Time, 11:53.
This extended forecast is brought to you by Dynamic Funds. Markets are changing more than ever. A financial advisor can help address your evolving portfolio needs. Speak to a financial advisor and learn more at dynamic.com.